Henry Hill and Politico's journalist Bethany Dawson. Welcome to both of you. So much to talk about. Inevitably, all over the front pages, the news of Angela Rayner's resignation yesterday, and then this huge reshuffle, cabinet reshuffle that we saw through the afternoon and into the evening. Bethany, take us to The Guardian, first of all. Their headline is PM battles to contain crisis after Rayner forced to resign.
Yes, we were expecting a reshuffle for quite a long time, but the rumours of it were all that it will be a junior minister reshuffle. There won't be any big changes. All of the top dogs will largely stay in place.
And just speaking to Darren Jones just now, who's now Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, I think that's his new title as of this week, he was saying it was always planned, a reshuffle.
Well, they kept that nice and quiet, if that is the case. We were all expecting a sort of junior reshuffle, and it couldn't have been further from the case. I think we are still expecting a junior reshuffle, so more changes should be coming. But Angela Rayner stepping down after being found to have broken the ministerial code really did cause this crisis, this big, running around to get people in new jobs. And it does look... It looked a bit panicked, even if Darren Jones did indeed say that this was planned all along. It looked like a sort of... Well, it looked like a panic, it looked like a crisis, it looked like the exact thing that Keir Starmer was trying to avoid.
Well, yeah, what do you make of this, Henry? I mean, we shouldn't forget that Angela Rayner had to resign, because it's tempting to just focus on the new jobs and who's doing what, but that is quite a big moment for the party, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's another sign of lost momentum, effectively. Angela Rayner was one of the party's best communicators. She was one of its more punchier and aggressive cabinet members. Housing's a critically important brief, and the government had admitted as much. You know, they're delivering enough homes by the next parliament to have maybe made an impact on the cost of living crisis. And every time there's a reshuffle, a whole load of clocks get reset to zero, because it takes time for anyone to get to grips with a big departmental brief. The most effective point of any government's life is normally when it comes in from opposition, and those people who've had time to get there and then they go in and they're able to do some things. And now, not just in the housing department, but in all the big departments, new people are having to grapple with a whole new set of problems.
Well, let's go straight on to that, because in the Eye, they focus in on the Home Office, and this is a case in point, because Yvette Cooper has spent a long time as Shadow Home Secretary, also on the Home Affairs Select Committee as well. I mean, that's a brief she's very familiar with, but she's out. I mean, it's not a demotion, she's going to the Foreign Office, but what's the thinking behind that, do you think?
Well, Shabana Mahmood has been one of the most effective members of the cabinet so far in justice. Had a very, very difficult job trying to, massage the fact that they've had to let people out of prison because we ran out of cell places, which in fairness the Conservatives would have done. This isn't a Labour thing. And she's been quite tough on the Sentencing Council stuff, so she's been seen to be quite effective. And so now, Keir Starmer seems to be thinking, right, small boats and immigration is the issue. It's the one that Reform is making loads of hay on. I'm going to send my sort of most effective law and order troubleshooter there. The problem with that is that, one, justice isn't fixed by any measure. Like, we still have a massive courts backlog. It would have been nice to maybe have a really effective Justice Secretary for several years in a row.
David Lammy steps in there.
Exactly. And also, and that's going to be fascinating with the politics of the Sentencing Council, of course, because it was the Lammy review that led to the two-tier justice row in the first place. But also, the Home Office, those problems aren't soluble by the Home Secretary. The Conservatives found this. You can't just put them in. The immigration, small boats and refugee problem is a matter of Britain's international legal obligations. The Home Secretary can't fix them.
And yet they can take a different approach, can't they? They can say, we're going to look at the EHCR and take a look at how it applies the area of access to family. So it could be looked at, and Shabana Mahmood might decide to do that.
Yeah, and her experience as Justice Secretary might help there. Additionally, her experience in justice and her knowledge of that massive court backlogs, that's something that is really stalling the problem of asylum seekers staying in hotels for such a long time, partly because they just need to wait for a court date. That experience might be very vital. But as you say, Yvette Cooper was Shadow Home Secretary for a long time. A lot of these people were in the shadow role. They had quite a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge in their area. and now they're suddenly in a new place.
So does this look like a kind of fresh start and it's all exciting and we've got a new broom and here we go? Or does it feel like, well, these people haven't been very good, so let's get rid of them? How do you think it plays out publicly?
I think it depends who you're asking. I mean, I think, putting in a new Home Secretary might be a way for the government to say, we're listening and we can see you're frustrated, so we're putting someone new in to see if they can make this work. Realistically, Yvette Cooper was only in for a year and the problems that she was trying to fix are so big that I doubt anyone could fix it in a year. It will, I think, more so than the Prime Minister is hoping for, look like it's him going, you guys weren't good enough, so we need someone new in. Undoubtedly, that is not what you'll hear on the morning round, but I think the public will not be made more confident by these moves.
Do you agree with that, Henry?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How many times have there been reshuffles and there's been all this briefing from the Downing Street operation that the Prime Minister is deeply frustrated that this particular configuration of advisers and ministers isn't channeling his will effectively, or her will? And when has that ever been true, right? When has a reshuffle ever really saved a government? You've maybe got Thatcher's ditching the wets in the early 80s. That was a real transformational moment from a position of strength. But most of the time, and especially now when it's been done in response to a scalp, no.
And if we look at the Telegraph, who will say it's because of our disclosures about Angela Rayner that she's had to leave, their journalism that brought a lot of this up, they are saying that this reshuffle is all about trying to spike reform's guns. The moves they're making and the focus they're putting on their key players, it's all about trying to be reform.
Well, there's definitely a point here where the people that have been promoted are very effective communicators, and that is something this government has been struggling with, and it's something that Reform are very, very good at. So in terms of challenging their policy, I think that's something that we have to wait and see. But in terms of sort of refining the operation and making it punchier, being able to deliver a message more effectively, I think that can be seen possibly as fighting Reform on that front.
Meanwhile, Nigel Farage's argument is, obviously a lot of attention was on what Labour was doing yesterday, but his speech was like, look at what's happening, it's more of the same. I criticised the Tories when they were in power and now Labour's no better.
Yeah, this is the ideal script if you're the third party. It was Nick Clegg in 2010, plague on both their houses. Obviously, stylistically presented quite differently from Nigel Farage, but it's the same basic argument, because this is ideal, because the Conservatives have a real uphill struggle on their hands, just because for any government that's only just been ejected, let alone by a historic margin, it's hard to win a hearing. So if Labour then also starts to really struggle, and also Farage knows that I think all but 9 of Reform's second-place seats last time were in Labour seats.
OK, and you're very obedient. You could tell I needed to get out there because we're out of time, but we will both be back in the next hour. Bethany and Henry, thanks very much indeed.
Hear that whistle and that crunch